Welcome to my channel. This tutorial is about how to blend your colored pencils. We're going to figure out 12 ways to blend colored pencils for beginners and the different techniques you can use to accomplish that. In adult coloring, knowing how to blend your colored pencils is a very important technique to learn. Mastering blending techniques will also help you to improve your coloring as well as help give you that artistic look all colors strive for. In this video, I will show you 12 different ways to blend colored pencils together on a worksheet that I made just for this video. And I'll give example methods they are used for. Lastly, I will bring some of those same techniques to a coloring book so that you guys can see how to use them on your coloring pages. I'm hoping this tutorial isn't too long, but usually when I bring you guys a tutorial, I like to try to give you real examples also in a coloring book so that you can get a better understanding and get the most out of my videos. So I may have to make a part 2 if this video runs too long. Also, remember it's important that if you like this tutorial to give it a thumbs up so I know what kind of videos you want to see. If you want to see more beginner adult coloring videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. Subscribing really helps in supporting my channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you will know when I upload more adult coloring videos for beginners. Now let's have some fun and get into this tutorial. So as I mentioned before, being able to blend your colored pencils is extremely important to learn to get a seamless look. Mastering these techniques as a beginner is essential to adult coloring. In my basic pencil technique video, I talked a little bit about gradients, but that was just the first level of blending. And for those who may have not seen that video, I will be sure to link it in the right top corner of this video. Or you can just go back and watch the video whenever you have time. In that video, I also talked about layering and burnishing. I'm going to also talk about that a little more in this tutorial because layering and burnishing is so important when learning these 12 techniques. So the first thing we're going to look into is being able to do a gradient with one color. It's basically blending with one color. And I'm going to use my Prismacolor pencils, and the main pencils that I'm going to use in this tutorial is Olive Green PC1011, Dark Green PC908, Limepeel PC1005, and Yellow Chartreuse PC1004. So I'm going to go with, you always want to pick, first when blending, you have to pick some colors to blend. And the way you pick your colors to blend is you want to get a dark tone like this. You want to get a mid-tone like this. And then you want to get a light or a highlight like this. So you want 3 colors. When you're first starting out, you only want to blend like 3 colors the most, because after blending more than that would be more advanced. So just start out with just as few colors as you can. And whatever color palette you pick, just remember to pick your dark tone, your mid-tone, and your light tone. And then I'm also going to bring in a highlight color, but I'll get to that one later. So first we're going to learn how to color with just one color, and I'm going to pick the darkest one, which is my PC908. And I'm just going to go, a gradient is what I taught in the last video. In a gradient, you're just going from a hard pressure to a light pressure. So it's achieved by blending colors using heavy to light pressure, graduating colors to get a seamless look. And the way you want to go in is you just want to go in. First, I'm going to zoom in actually so you guys can see more. So let me zoom in real quick. There, I think we're zoomed in a good amount. Okay, so now we're zoomed in. And you just want to go in with a hard pressure. And you also want to make sure you have a good tip on your pencil. So I'm going to sharpen my pencil just so I can get a better tip. And there. Now I have a better tip on my pencil. So you're just going to go in with hard pressure. And when I get halfway to the circle is when I'll let up on the pressure and go light pressure. And I'm just using a scrambling technique really just to get that color down. And I'm rotating my pencil as I go so I can keep a sharp lead without having to sharpen it so much. But I'm going to try to go fast so I don't want this video to run too long because I want to be able to show you guys in the coloring book how to do this also. So I'm going to go a zigzag motion instead of scrambling. And since I'm halfway there, I'm going to let up on the pressure and go really light. And if you need to hold your pencil back further to get that light pressure, you can do that. And you just want to shade that part in. And that's basically how you make a gradient. And we covered this in the last video, but I wanted to make sure that those who don't watch the last video do see that you can blend one color. You just have to go hard pressure, then light pressure. And that's basically how you blend one color. You just want to go light pressure, hard pressure. And you can add more layers to that if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it just like that because I just wanted to show you guys an example of it. Now I'm going to move on to the next one. And the next one we're going to do two colors. We're going to do a dark, our dark tone, and a lighter tone. And for that, I'm going to use the dark green PC908. And I think I'm going to use the Limepeel instead of the other dark one. Then the Limepeel PC1005. And I'm going to do two colors. Now, I can do two colors this way, where I just did one color and then lighten it up. I can do that with two colors. I can put this down first right here, and then I can put the lighter color in the other half. But I'm going to show you a technique, a different technique. So this is the technique you would use if you were coloring like flowers. This is how you would actually lay the two colors in, the way I'm going to show you. So I'm going to start off with my dark color. And I'm going to do a zigzag motion just so that I don't take all day because scrambling takes a while. And then when I get partial way down, I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to go to the other side and put in the dark tone again. And I'm not really going in with hard pressure. I'm just going in with medium pressure because I'm going to layer and I'm going to put another layer down. But first I just want to get that first layer down on the paper. And then I think this side is not as big as that side, so I'm going to add a little more to this side. And so when I get ready to introduce the next color, I'm going to let up on the pressure. And you let up on the pressure, and if you have to, you can put your hand back, further back on the pencil if you need to get that lighterness, to get the pressure to be lighter instead of going in with such a hard pressure. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to introduce the next color. And you want to introduce the next color right where you have the light pressure at. And so I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm actually going to darken this up just a little, just so we can see the difference in the light pressure and the hard pressure. Now I'm going to add that light pressure. And that's where I'm going to introduce my next color, right where I have the light pressure. And so I take the next color, which is Limepeel PC1005, and I want to introduce it. And this pencil does not have a good lead, so I'm going to sharpen this because I want to make sure there's a good lead on here to get into the tooth of that paper. Say, now I have a good lead. And so you want to start right where that line is, where it's really light at. And you want to introduce your color right there. And you want to go hard pressure. So I'm going to go in hard pressure. And because I'm going hard pressure, I'm not going to put my hand on all the way back on the pencil, because the further you hold the pencil to the tip of the lead, the harder the pressure tends to be. The further back you hold the pencil, the lighter the pressure tends to be. And right where I did light pressure right here on this side is where this is as far as I want to go into that green. I don't want to go any further into that green because you want it to blend into it. You don't want to go too far into the green. And so I'm going to put another layer on both of these because it's too light for me. And if I was coloring in a coloring book, I definitely would want this darker. So I'm just going to quickly put another layer down. And just add that color in there. And you'll see where it blended in where you started the lighter green at. And so I'm going to do the other side just like I did that side. And I just want to go hard pressure all the way around because I just want to make sure I have a good layer down. Now, that's the basic of blending. You just go hard pressure, light pressure, hard pressure. That's the basics of it. And you blend the next color right into the light pressure. So we're going to move on to the multicolor one. The multicolor one, you just basically, you want to use more colors. And so I'm going to use 3 colors. And I could go three colors, one color here, one color here, and one color here. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it the way it is down here, because that's the way you usually do it when you're coloring a flower or something. And that's why I'm doing it that way, so you guys will know how exactly to take this to a flower if you had a flower on the page. And so a multicolor one, I'm just going to go in with heavy pressure again, and I'm doing really big scrumbles so I can fill in this paper really fast. So if it's a little messy, guys, it's just because I'm trying to make sure this video does not go too long. So now I'm going to let up on the pressure and go light pressure. And that's where I'm going to introduce the next color. And I'm going to do the other side. And I'm going hard pressure. Still going hard pressure. Now I'm about to go light pressure. Just light pressure. You barely touch the page. You just let the pencil just glide across it. You just lift up your pencil more. And you barely touch the page when you're doing the light pressure. So I don't know if you guys can see that light pressure, but it's very light. And now I'm going to add in my next color, which is not that color, sorry. It's going to be, I already did that color. It's going to be PC911. And right where I ended that color is where I'm going to add this color. And you're going to go in with hard pressure right at the beginning. You're going to start off with hard pressure right where you add that color at. And I might have added a little too much, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just an example worksheet for you guys. And I'm going to do the same thing to the next side. So I'm going to go hard pressure right into it. Right into that line of green. And I'm going to keep going hard pressure. And now I'm going to let up on the pressure and go soft pressure, light pressure. That's because I'm going to introduce my color right there. I didn't go light pressure over here, so I need to go light pressure. And that's where I'm going to introduce my next color. Now I'm going to introduce my next color, and be where I did light pressure is where I want to be, when I start out. And go hard pressure. And this one, because it's in the middle of these two colors, I can actually just go zigzag and color that in like that if I wanted to. But because I'm at a weird angle, I'm not going to do that. It's hard for me to color at a weird angle. And you just add that next color in. And so now we're going to darken up those other layers so we can actually see the blend going on. Because usually when you do your first layer, you don't really see the blend that well. So now we're going to go back to the first one. And we're going to make sure we go in with hard pressure. And I'm just doing hard pressure all the way down till I get to the next color, and I want to introduce the next color. I think I'm going to stop right there. Introduce the next color. Oops, that's not the next color. This is the next color. And we're going to go hard pressure. And then when you get to that light part, you want to let up and go light pressure again because you don't want it to be a very harsh line. So now I'm going to do the other side. Now I'm going to add the next color. And you're always going to be able to still see some tooth there in the paper until you burnish it. And I showed you guys burnishing in the last video. So if you want to go over that again, you can go over that again. But burnishing is just pressing really hard and getting that color to be into the center, into the tooth of the paper. And just pressing really hard pressure. That's just burnishing. Now, I'm showing you 12 different ways to blend and burnish. This was the first way, and I'm not going to darken that one up. We're just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to darken this one up. Just going to leave it like that. But this was the second way. This was the third way. The fourth way we're going to do is with a colorless blender. And a colorless blender is a wax or oil pencil without any pigment or color in it. I strongly recommend the Cardanci Luminous Color Blender. That's my favorite blender. When applying it with heavy pressure to a finished area, it pushes around the color and smooths out any white spaces onto the paper. Just like burnishing, a colorist blender creates a smooth-like texture. This blending method is identical to burnishing, but the only exception is that you don't have to add as many layers to your colors. And it allows you to smooth the colors without affecting the colors itself. So it looks something like this, is what the Cardanci blender pencil looks like. When using this technique, just layer the colors as usual, as we did up here, then apply the colorist pencil over the top to smooth out the texture. Remember to add layers before adding the colorless pencil for a more even look. And this method is great for like skin and eyes and stuff like that if you were doing a face or something of a coloring in a coloring book. So here we're going to use our colorless. This is the spot for our colorless blender. And we're just going to lay down some color. First, let me get my pencils together. Okay. So we're just going to lay down some color. And I think we're just going to do dark green, middle green, and light green again. And this time we're going to do it the other way. So that way you guys can see the other way too. So you just go in with heavy pressure at first with the first color. This time I'm trying to add my layers before I get to that part that I want to do hard pressure. And now I'm going to do light pressure. Actually, I think I need more color. So I'm going to do hard pressure. And then I'll do a little light pressure right here. Now I'm going to add my next color. And my next color, we're using the same three colors, the olive green. And I'm going to go hard pressure. Rotate that pencil. So when you do the Colorless Blender, you have to make sure you have enough layers down before you apply the blender, unless it won't have anything to smoosh into the paper, and the wax will just be a buildup of wax. Now I'm going to do light pressure and introduce the next color. And the next color is my Limepeel. I'm going to go hard pressure. So when you do a flower, you also can do this way too. So there's certain ways you can do blending when you're adding it to a picture, per se. And I'm going to darken up those colors before we add our Colorless Blender, because we want to make sure there's a lot of layers on there before you add your Colorless Blender. So I'm just making it darker. Next color. Because I'm trying to go so fast. I have so much white on my paper. Because I want you guys to be able to get the whole video without it being too long. Then I'm going to add the next color again. And I'm just going to go hard pressure and try to darken it up. I don't want to burnish it. I just want to darken it up and add layers. So you don't want to press too hard, because you're going to burnish it with the Colorless Blender pencil. Just darken this part up a little bit. There. So now we use the blender pencil on it. And Prisma has its own blender pencil too, which is, it looks like this. And it's just a wax pencil with no color. And that's what both of these are. A wax pencil with no color. But this one I think has some color at the end of it. So I'm going to clean it off on my paper over here before I go into that. Get that blue off of there. And I want to sharpen it a little bit. Okay, now that's better. So what you do is when you use the Colorless Blender, you want to go from light to dark. You don't want to go from dark to light, because if you go from dark to light, your dark colors are going to go into your light colors, and you don't want your dark colors to blend into your light colors. You want your light colors to blend into your dark colors. So I'm going to go from this end on that way. I knew that was going to happen. And when you do this, you press hard because you're burnishing now. Now you're burnishing. You still can rotate the pencil. And when you're pressing hard, it's just basically getting rid of that white tooth, and it's pressing the color into the paper. And it's smoothing it out. It's giving us this glossy look. That's what burnishing is. And so you have pencils to be able to do that for you. You see how it's blending everything together? You see that? Do you see the difference in that than what we were looking at beforehand? Now let me wipe it off so I can get the wax bloom off so you guys can see. Now, do you see how seamlessly blended that looks? You got dark green, a medium green, and a light green. And we did that by layering first our colors and by doing heavy to light pressure like a gradient and by adding our colorless blender. Now, do you see the difference between that? There's no tooth, and that where there's still a lot of tooth, and that there's still a lot of tooth showing. That's the difference. That's what you want it to look like. Now, the next ones I'll show you, I already colored in, so you don't have to see me color those in because I wanted this video to go a little bit faster. But the next way to blend would be with Gamma-Sol. And Gamma-Sol is a solvent. And you can use Gamma-Sol or you can use Zested, something called Zested. And a lot of colorists like this method. This is their favorite method. Using a solvent to blend will make your colors look vibrant and is another way to smooth out the layers while creating a soften effect. The pigment in your colored pencils are held together by binders. So when you apply a solvent like odorless minerals, zested, or baby oil, you dissolve the pigment that is held together by binders so that you are able to move the color around the paper. Unlike burnishing, this method is faster because it requires less layers. A great key to remember is to make sure you have enough color on your paper before applying, because if not, it will cause spotting and an uneven look. Secondly, using too much thinner will dull your colors and wrinkle or damage your paper. Once dried, you can add more layers of color on top until the desired effect is achieved. This method is great for landscapes and for creating soft, blurry backgrounds in your coloring books. So the Gamma-Sol looks like this. I have some Gamma-Sol here, and it looks like this. It's in a bottle like this. It's an odorless mineral spirit. You don't want to get this on your hands. If you get this on your hands, you want to wash your hands after using. And you also want to make sure you keep a top on it, because if you don't keep a top on it, it can evaporate by itself out. And so I'm just going to put a little into my top here. And then I'm going to use my paintbrush, and we're going to burnish this one. So hopefully I got enough in here. So I'm just going to stick my paintbrush. If you can see, I have a little in here. I'm just going to stick my paintbrush right in there. And then I'm just going to go from the light area to the dark area to get rid of that whiteness in the paper. And this blends it together too. I'm going to get a little more and do this side. I'm going to start where the light is first. Then I'm just going to blend that around. You just want to go in a circular motion. And ta-da! The white's gone. So you see how the Gamma Cell looks different from the Colorless Blender. It kind of gives this is like blurred look almost. Like that's why people like to use Gamma Cell for backgrounds, because it gives it like this blurry effect. And which is really pretty if you have really pretty light colors and really intense colors, and then you use Gamma Cell, it gives it a really nice blurry effect. And I like it. So I use it often. I don't even have much Gamma Cell left. I use it a lot. So let's go to the next one. So the next one is baby oil. And it's like using Gamma Cell. But I wanted to show you a cheaper way. If you don't have Gamma Cell and you haven't bought a colorist mineral, you can use baby oil or you can use Vaseline. Vaseline and baby oil can be used the same way to blend your colors. The thing about Vaseline and baby oil, which I must warn, that if you use it to put a page under your paper, because if you don't put a page under your paper, the baby oil tends to bleed through the next page. And so I'm going to put a page under my paper just so it doesn't do that. And now I'm going to apply the baby oil with a Q-tip. And this is something if you have at home, you have a Q-tip at home, you have baby oil at home, you have Vaseline at home, you can use this to blend your colors, your colored pencils with. And so I'm just going to put a little baby oil in this little, in the top. Just a little. And then I'm going to take my Q-tip. Well, not that end. Wait, not that Q-tip. Oh, wait. Oh, here you go. Okay. I'm going to take my Q-tip and dip it into this baby oil. And then I'm going to go from light to dark on one side. And you're just going to go around and around like you would if you had a pencil, a blender pencil. And that's it. And then you do the other side. Light to dark. You don't want to put too much. I think I put too much right there because it'll bleed through the paper. But it softens the pencil. And it gets a really pretty effect. The only thing I don't like about the baby oil and the Vaseline is it can spread outside the lines. If you can see right there where it spreads outside the lines and it looks like it's oily, I don't like that effect. But I guess, if you're trying to do this a cheaper way without buying Gamma Cell or a minerals oil, people like Vaseline better, I think. But Vaseline does the same thing. And with Vaseline, what you do instead of using a Q-tip is you just dip your pencil right into the Vaseline and then color with it, and it makes it really soft. The next blending technique is the white pencil, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get in there. There we go. The next technique is with a white pencil. You can blend your colors with a white pencil, and this method is called saturation burnishing. This method of burnishing is just like the standard burnishing technique I talked about earlier, except you use a neutral color like white or gray to burnish instead of colors. Once you layer or blend your colors together, you then use a white or gray pencil to smooth out the colors. The white will lighten colors and give colors a milky look, while gray will kind of pull out the colors and it still will maintain the same color. This is a more advanced method and is essential when coloring skin. So I will take my white pencil, and you basically just take your white pencil. You start from light to dark always, and I'll start in the light, and I'll just press hard. And you'll see the difference of what it looks like to compare it with the other ones once I'm done. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. So you just basically go in with hard pressure, and you kind of remove the tooth of the paper, and you smooth out the colors with the white pencil. So the white pencil adds a white milky look to it. Unlike the colorless blender, which doesn't add any color at all to it. So it just depends on what you want it to look like. And this, I like to use this when I'm doing flowers a lot too, because it makes your colors look a little muted. And I like that look. And it depends, what colors I'm laying down. When I'm doing very bright, colorful colors, it really looks pretty on bright, colorful colors. So I like to use white a lot. I use white very often. I use white more than I use any of the others. And did you see how that has like a milky kind of look to it compared to the way the other ones look? Now, the next one is tonal burnishing. And tonal burnishing is almost the exact same technique as saturation burnishing. The only difference is you choose a color to burnish instead. Okay, wait. You choose a color to burnish instead of white or gray. After blending your colors together, you choose a lighter color or a color that's in the same family as your base colors to burnish all the colors together. This method you can do a lot of experimenting with and can add a uniqueness to your coloring page. It's ideal for landscapes and sceneries. So basically, you choose a color from the same color family. And because we have green, all green here, we're going to choose, what you would do is choose a lighter color green than all the colors that's here. So I chose a color already, and I chose this color. That's because this color is lighter than that color. And this color is yellow chartreuse. And this is the color I'm going to blend with. Now, if I had a blue color, and I had a dark blue color, a medium blue color, and a light blue color, I could take that light blue color and blend all the colors together with just that light color. I also could blend these three with that color in the middle, but I'm not going to use that color in the middle. Instead, I chose a lighter color to blend it with, and I'll show you guys how that works. So you can start from your lighter color again, and I'll try not to break this lid, and you just go over it with hard pressure. It's the ambulance outside. I can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear it. It's loud. Then you just go over all the colors with the light color. So it's almost like using a white, except you use a lighter color. And that is called tonal burnishing. That's how you blend out the colors with a lighter color of the same color family. Now you don't want to use, it would be crazy to try to use a red or pink or light pink on this green. That wouldn't work. So that's why you have to use the same color family. And I'll show you just a second how that looks when you do that and compare it to the other ones. So you see the tooth has disappeared. The white tooth has disappeared, but it didn't make a big difference in color. It kind of brightened it, and it'll brighten the color because I used a lighter color. And I like to use this one a lot too. I use this one a lot as well as that one a lot. Between these three is the three that I use the most. Now the next one is a blending. You use a blending stump. And a blending stump is just a piece of paper rolled up. It's like I want to say like a cardboard paper rolled up into like a pencil form. It looks like a pencil. There's no wax on here. It feels like cardboard. There's no wax on here. There's no color on here. None of that. And you basically just take the stump and it presses the color into the paper. Now some people use the stump for Gamasol also. They'll dip the stump into Gamasol and then blend out the color. But the way I'm going to show you is without any colorless, any minerals or anything like that, just the plain stump. Now the stump, my stump, as you can see, it has a color on it from when I used it last. And you don't want that color to be in your pencils. And usually if you have a blending stump, you need to get some sandpaper. And the sandpaper looks like this. This is Statler. And the pieces come off somehow. To get a clean one, you just tear it right off. And you have a clean sandpaper. Let me get that off my paper. So what you need to do is you need to clean the color off of the stump. And to do that, you just rub it on the sandpaper. And it'll get that color right off. And it also will sharpen the stump a little bit. So you see how I'm getting the color off of there? So if you have a blending stump, you're going to need some sandpaper also. And it works just like that. And so now that I got sandpaper all over my paper, so now we're going to do the blending stump on this one right here. And I'm just going to take that stump and I'm going to start with the light area. And you're just going to go hard pressure. And to me, this one is like hard to do sometimes because it takes a lot of pressure to do this. So if you have like hand fatigue or arthritis, I would not suggest using this technique because it takes a lot of pressure to do this. And so I'm just going to go to the other side. There you go. And that's how you use a stump, a blending stump. And the blending stump is, like I said, the hardest one to push into the paper, but it gives you the same effect as the colorless blender. It's just a different method of doing it. So the next one that we'll do is called a marker blender. And I have to see if I can get that one in the page. so you can see it. So a marker blender, actually, let me just turn the paper this way. Can you guys see that? Is that going to be weird? Trying to get this in the camera. How about I just turn it upside down? There we go. So a marker blender is a blender that comes with markers. And I have two kind here. One is my Tombow marker blender. And it has a nub on the end. And it also has a brush on the end. And how it's used is you just basically use it like a paintbrush and blend the colors together. But it has a liquid in there that this one's water based, and so it blends it together somehow. So I also have, when it's water based, I don't know what else is made with in there. I know it's not just water because that wouldn't work, but it's some other liquid in there too. And then I have an alcohol based marker, blender marker. It's my Prismacolor one, and it has, it's kind of hard to open. It has a big point on one end for big areas and a smaller point for smaller areas. Now this has some color on the tip. I can see that. So the way to clean that off is just to rub it on some paper to get that color off. Until it runs clear. And I'm still seeing green. Okay, there you go. It's clear now. So you just take this and you blend it out. And you start with the light color. And this one is alcohol based, so I'm sure it's alcohol, something in alcohol in it. And it just blends out the colors. Now you can buy these on Amazon or at any hobby store. And people like to use this one because it's quick and easy. Oh, see, I just put that green into my yellow. That's what I don't want you guys to do. That's why I started out with my light color. But anyhow, let's rub that off. See if I can get that out of there. There we go. I fixed it. So just blend the rest of it out and get rid of that tooth. So it just basically dissolves the color into the paper. That's basically what it's doing. And that's a marker blender. And clean it off before I put it away. There. So the next blending technique I will show you guys is there is blending with gel pens. And so I have one gel pen here and I have a paintbrush, because if you blend with a gel pen, you're going to need a paintbrush. And a gel pen, you can blend gel pen dry and then you can blend gel pen wet. And so you're actually going to need some water for gel pen wet. So first I'm going to show you how to do the gel pen dry. And I did a little leaf here just to show you the technique. And this is a gel pen that I got. It's glitter gel pen, so it has glitter in it. And so basically what you want to do is, say for instance, if you was coloring in your coloring book, you would take your gel pen and say, I want to just put a little around the edges of this leaf. And then if I wanted to blend it, I would have to take my paintbrush and you basically blend it that way. So you can also blend gel pens. And so let me do a little more. So you can do it dry and you can do it wet. So when you spread the gel pen, you also spread the glitter and stuff. So you see how I spreaded it out? So I'm going to do the wet side over here. And I'm just going to put that gel pen right in there. And then I'm going to dip my brush into some water that I have sitting off camera. And then you just spread it like that. And you see how I spreaded that all the way into that? So that's how you blend gel pens. Okay, so I think that will be the end of my 12 ways to blend for beginners. I will see you guys back here in the next video, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Have a colorful day.